I hate it.
Video game box art. Oh, what fun. It's the only time in my life where I get to say that this piece of media does a significantly better job than this piece of media. Wasted no time at all on that one. Video game box art is one of those very few mediums where if you've picked up anything that resembles this at any point in your life, then you can understand the pleasure, the look, the feel, the taste. There's something about these little rectangular cases that just makes me feel all right when I wake up in the morning. And while some people just grab these game cases off store shelves and does God knows whatever with the cases after they're done with it, this piece of plastic is wildly important. Hell, I'd argue that sometimes it's more important than the entire game. I mean, you think of all the games on store shelves. Every single game's cover is some sort of advertisement to draw you in, some sort of art to tell you a story with the end goal to entice you to pick up this title and empty your pockets so you can experience some... Yeah, so in 2019, a small game came out for the Nintendo Switch called Fire Emblem 3 Houses, and at first glance, I saw this and thought, oh man, this box art is so cool. You never see purple backgrounds, and you've got the 3 empires fighting each other. But after that 10 seconds of euphoria kicked in, and I took a small bit of a closer look at the box art itself, I started to realize that I'm a fucking idiot. Why is Claude upside down? Who in their right mind is going to look at him on the cover and say, yep, he's definitely holding a bow? Why is Dimitri holding the handle of the spear? It looks like he's holding a flagpole. Why is Edelgard over to the side? Okay, you know what? I honestly don't have any complaints about Edelgard. She's fine. Why are the player characters of the game so calmly standing in the background? And most importantly, how did this error on the bow not get checked by quality assurance when it's right smack dab in the middle of the box?
So of course this got me thinking. Somebody out there is going to pick up Fire Emblem 3 Houses for the very first time, see this box art, and think, this is going to be my first Fire Emblem game. Hell, this might be my first video game entirely, so have I ever been subject to that? I have a pretty sizable game collection that I've gathered throughout the years, so if I go through all of those games that I have acquired over that period of time, how can I determine what can be considered good box art and what can be considered bad box art? And I think this might be a good place to start.
Luigi's Mansion has one of the most iconic box arts of all time. It was the Lean Green Plumber's first outing on its own, and Nintendo's first big jump into a brand new quality of gaming. So it was extremely important for Nintendo to nail this launch title's box art and get it absolutely right. And in a lot of ways, I do think it shows. Let's start right off with the obvious. The high definition Luigi smack dab in the middle, frightened out of his mind, looking like he just shit his pants. It's such a contrast to other Mario games. Any other title is gonna have this bright, happy background that gets you to toss yourself into the world and mindlessly whisk yourself away for 14 levels in a nightmare. But this Luigi's been through some shit. Even compared to a game like Mario is Missing, this box art just feels so much more atmospheric. It does the first thing that I think all box art to be considered good has to be able to do, and that is set the tone. Like, come on, how can I take this box art seriously? Luigi, just turn around, he's right there! The box has a dark, spooky feel to it, but it's not too dark. You can still clearly see everything. You see old returning faces in the background, new unfamiliar faces showing this is a new adventure for Luigi, separate from the normal Mario universe. I think the logo doesn't get the justice it deserves. It's a nice contrast from the rest of the background by saying, yeah, this is going to be a darker, spooky experience for Luigi, but it still has that playful whim to it. If a box art is good, I should be able to take a look at the front cover and be invited into the story before I've even popped the game into the system. Ooh, wow, there's a car on the cover. I hope there's a car in the game. Whoa. I've always thought of box art the same way I think of billboards on the side of the road. You see a sign for a fast food place with a big picture of some herky-jerky piece of meat plastered on it, and it's an invitation to come visit their restaurant. I mean, if you take a look at any video game box art, how is that any different? You're telling me I can play as whatever the f this is with a gun that's bigger than me, and there's different types of guns in the background? Wow! It's almost like that's the entire basis of what the series is about. Earlier this year, I played a fantastic game called AI: The Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative. Can you tell what it's about? That's right, hacking into people's minds and solving a murder mystery. Now, is there any indication on the cover that tells you that this is what the game is about? No, but you got these two cute little anime girls on the front. A game's cover art does not hinder its ability to be a good game, but it does make it that much harder to advertise and understand what your game's purpose is about. Nobody's picking up Danganronpa because the cover art looks good. They're picking up Danganronpa because...
Why is anybody picking up Danganronpa?
Which is why you turn it around and look at the back cover.
Oh! Titties.
If the front cover is the billboard posted on the side of the road, the back cover is the fine print at the bottom that says, "We'll leave you with heartburn and uncontrollable nausea." As good as a game's cover might be, I still can't tell whether this is an action game or a puzzle game. So if a game can catch your eye and get you to turn the cover over, then that's when you know you've done a good job. You don't really need much, just some added dialogue, a couple screenshots to know if you're into that style. If you could squeeze Wario in there, then, hey, that's a +2.
I went and bought more video games.
Some companies like to put advertisements on the back of their box, thinking if this didn't sell you on our title, surely a controller skin will definitely do the trick. Rocksteady, you're supposed to put the epilepsy warning at the beginning of the game, not the back of the box. There's not really much to nitpick about the back of boxes, but if I could make a suggestion, can we please utilize the space we're given and try to excite me as much as possible? Treat the back of your box art like a game trailer. Make me feel bad about myself if I decide to put the game back on the shelf. This one lets me take advantage of the Wii U gamepad. I have different screenshots of all the mini games posted down here. Wario says it's the best game ever. Well, now I gotta play it. You gotta be specific too. Carry out exhilarating combos. Punish enemies with elaborate summons. Check it out. You ready for this? Look, I didn't even need to replace Bayonetta's name on the box. At least they let us know that it includes a disc of the original Bayonetta game. And don't overload your box arts with text. I don't need you to give me a Wikipedia article on the back of the box. You are the controller. Great, now show me like 9 of the mini games and let me move on with my life. There is no universe out there that justifies this much text. Like, come on, how am I supposed to know what this game is about? Now, RPGs, I'll give them some bit of a pass. Now, I might be one of the few Nintendo fans that actually does enjoy RPGs, so speaking on behalf of the majority opinion, I can say that the center of attention for most of your RPG fans aren't typically the action or your gameplay. No, these are experiences that are driven by the world it takes place in. So if I'm ready to spend 30, 40, 50 plus hours hooked inside of a game, I do want to know a little bit of the world I'm entering, which leads me to the second thing that I think every good box art should be able to do, is be able to tell a story. Nier Autopsy, released in 2017. What is this game about? It's about androids and robots fighting in a post-apocalyptic war. I'm not sure you can get much more straightforward than that. Sure, this is an aesthetically pleasing box art from the look at it, but let's look at it as a piece of art. We've got 8 characters here. It looks like they're stranded in the snow. More of that snow is falling in the background like an hourglass saying that time is running out. You've got these mysterious eyes inside of a skull signifying we know the whole setup for the story, and the only words on the box art are the title. Now, if we want to compare this to Badass Looking Man, this is what we call the worst way to show off your game. I call this the Hollywood effect. We've all seen those big movie posters where they slap a big name celebrity on screen and hope their popularity will help sell the movie. Can we just stop doing this with games? First off, I can't even tell this is Nathan Drake. Second, if I'm not an Uncharted fan, how does this tell me anything about the game? And it's not even Uncharted 4. The PS3 covers follow that same big name in front of the silver screen aesthetic. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I actually kind of enjoyed 2. It's a box art with clear stakes. The lead role is showing a personality. When I see something like this, I would like to see how this moment played out in the story, and it's the very first part of the game that you play. Now, if you will allow me, I need 30 seconds to just non-stop bitch. Wolfenstein is a game that takes place in a world in which Germany won World War II. Can you tell? Here's a man standing on another planet. How do I know this isn't a very passionate janitor? Go take a shower. I'm an undercover cop, and this is here to represent trauma. I'm a famous movie star. It even says so on the cover. Guy with a gun, guy with a gun, girl with a gun. But guess what? This one has sex appeal. I can't sit here and argue and say a stock picture of Spider-Man isn't gonna catch people's eyes. I mean, come on. It's Spider-Man, but there's nothing indicative that makes this any different from any other Spider-Man game. If I took the cover of Uncharted 4 and just replaced this number, the only testimony to this not being correct is Drake doesn't wear the t-shirt that's in this game. You can feature a protagonist on a box art that puts them in the forefront while also telling a story that takes place in that specific game. Kratos has a son now, he's wielding a new weapon, and that boat sure as hell doesn't look like we're in Mount Olympus. 4 of Nintendo's biggest characters and 10 more floating in the background. Sonic with a sword? Bro, you don't have to say anymore. It's fucking Sonic with a sword. Speaking of swords, how do RPGs get away with not doing any of this? Now you know good and damn well I am not gonna shoot this box art. RPG box art is either one of two things. It's a very artsy logo, possibly an overworld scene listed on the front, or it's all of the main characters plastered inside these two dimensions to show you who's in the game. The first design style choice is the more minimalistic look, giving you as little information as possible while still showing off a bit of aesthetic of what you can find in the game. I don't think RPGs are allowed to get too in-depth with telling a story on the box. Most games in the genre aren't trying to sell you on one specific story that can easily be portrayed on the front of a box. While there may be one central narrative tying these story beats together in the world and stringing the development along, with the overwhelming amount of characters and side quests in many of these games, a game can't quite portray itself with a scene or aesthetic that could possibly be misconstrued with a different emotion. Doom just tells me to get angry and shoot things. Trust me, bro, you just gotta play it. When I see a design like this, it feels like a storybook. Like if I threw it inside of a game and randomly found it in the overworld, this would be an old tale passed down from generation to generation and just another fable in the history of the world. And that's mostly what a lot of these RPGs try to do. Every new Final Fantasy, every new Dragon Quest, these are brand new worlds being built from the ground up. So this feels less like just another storybook in the respective game's world, but a fable passed down with each new generation. And then you've got the ones that go for libido. Have you ever picked up a game just because you like the design of the character on the front?
I picked up the normal version and the display version.
Some companies like to go the character route and show you an idea of all the friendly faces you can expect to find in a game. And while a lot of times I don't think it makes for the most visually appealing piece of media, it makes sense from an advertising perspective. How many people do you think picked up Tomb Raider for the first time because of the cover art? Wait, I'd argue it's the same with not only RPGs, but any other piece of media that really resonates with you. You find a character on the front of the cover and want to know more about him? This is the most beautiful character I have ever seen. Please, I have got to know more about this character. I've always said that interesting characters can elevate a lackluster story, so if you can already grow an attachment to the characters before you even step inside the game world, then sell on that point. Use it to your advantage. If you can't get into the art style or don't see a character that fits the appeal that you typically go for in a game, it definitely makes it harder to elevate you into that story. But what if the box art actively elevates you into already knowing what's going to take place in the game, which is the final thing I think box art can achieve to put them on top, is introducing gameplay elements. Mario is the king of video games, and I would feel confident in saying that Mario's box art is arguably better than any other Nintendo series, because Nintendo actively shows you the gameplay at a first glance. Super Mario Odyssey, perfect example. The gimmick revolves around Mario wearing his hat, throwing his cap. You've got different kingdoms, the photographs, and the Odyssey in the background. You even have the Goombas on the cover with a Mario mustache. Super Mario Galaxy, you're floating in space. Introduction of new characters, different planets in the background. Galaxy 2, what's that big green thing on the cover? That's right, it's a planet. But we do know that Yoshi is returning and he's got his own power-ups as well on the boss. While I do wish they'd show off more of Delfino Plaza on the cover, at least we have Flood and they show off the Shine Sprites. Plus, the back cover shows off the spray nozzle and Yoshi, who hasn't made a return since Super Mario 64, and the wing cap, Super Mario Bros. 3, and the Tanuki suit. Every single one of these box arts can only be used for each of these games as they show off the gameplay mechanics within each. Spyro. This could be used for any of the 3 Spyros. At least 3 has the other playable characters on the box. If I can take your box art and slap it onto another game in a series, it's probably an indication that your box art needs a little work. If you swap these 2 cover arts with each other and tried to sell it to me, I honestly wouldn't be able to tell you the difference. Mascot characters have a really bad problem with this. I don't want to clown on artists, but a lot of the times it feels like, oh, this is a character that everybody knows. All I've got to do is put a recognizable face on there and people are gonna eat it up anyways. No. If you're gonna show off a new game for your series, make sure to show off the new mechanics so fans know that there's a brand new game waiting for them to discover something new. Crash Twinsanity is the first time we've ever seen Cortex and Crash team up, and although I do like the Warner Brothers Looney Tune-esque art style, why don't you show a picture of them frustratingly working together to draw people in? Sure, with BioShock you can make the arguments that the little sister is on the daddy's back because you're working together through a majority of the game, but if you look at the box art for the first game, it already kind of looks like this is implied. Sonic Boom might be one of the most infamously bad games in the whole of video game history, but at least its box art shows the 4 playable characters and the villain looming in the background, plus all of the new designs and weapons that they will use in the game. Now, on to my final point. Do you ever just see a box art so good that you just need to protect it from the rest of the world? This is the perfect example of showing off your gameplay in a box art. Not only do you have the tubes and Aperture Labs in the background, but you've got the 2 portals in the front of the game showing the entire purpose of what the game is about, plus the 2 robots on the front cover signifying the multiplayer aspect that was a primary focus during the development of Portal 2. There's no way to convey the sadistic meta humor and story found in Portal 2 on the box art, but it does an excellent job at showing the tone and showing off the gameplay, and that's exactly what a box art needs to show off and portray what's supposed to happen in a game.
Tone, story, and gameplay are the 3 key factors that are going to determine if your box art is good enough to be able to capture and encompass a brand new audience. It's not a necessity, and a game doesn't need to utilize all 3 of these to show them off on the cover, but when a game is able to utilize and take advantage of this, that just makes it that much more exciting for us, the players, to throw this into our system for the very first time. Of course, that's just the tip of the iceberg, and my personal thoughts, even after all of those rules, you do have to make sure that your box art is visually appealing. Even with all of the unwritten rules that I just stated, if your box art doesn't look good, it just isn't gonna draw in an audience. I mean, take for example, we've got Rygar, the Battle of Atlas, who the cares? We've got Dance Central 2 for the Xbox Kinect, ooh, a personal favorite of mine. We've got Alien Monster Bowling League for the Nintendo Wii. And I could basically keep talking about box art for hours, but I think 16 minutes is plenty.
Sir, you know this is an interview, right? We were interviewing you to go over your ideas for the Xalem movie.
Oh no, I totally get that. It's just I have so many ideas running through my mind right now. I've got to talk about Banjo, I've got to talk about game controllers, I've got to talk about Sonic. Tell me, how do you feel about rhythm games? You want to see how well do you think this is going to work?
You're gonna flip it.
How do you think it's going to work?
Maybe.
Damn it!